undefeated team throughout the entire tournament, taking on PSG Talon. PSG, who I think have been looking better and better as the tournament has gone on. I think a lot of that has to do with Doggo sort of meshing as things go on. But also, I just like how they play, right? It's a lot of skirmishing, it's a lot of team fighting, it's a lot of fun. But as Raz mentioned, these are a lot of the things that RNG are just better at.
And that's, I think, the core problem for this match. I wholeheartedly agree. I think that PSG have been really leveling up as the tournament has progressed. They still have that dominant early game, but they've lost some of the inconsistencies that they're facing later. However, they're playing what, in my opinion, is currently the best-looking team in the tournament, and RNG just don't seem to lose. And they have a strong early game, but they don't need a strong early game. And that's something that we, of course, are very familiar with. That's the Damwon Kia we used to know. Right now, not necessarily the case. And that is what makes RNG, I think, so terrifying, is that even if you do get an early lead, as they lock in Gala's trademark Kai'Sa, you're still not there. You need to actually take them down, and if teams like Mad Lions have a difficulty doing that, then for PSG, that's a tall order.
Well, we'll see exactly where the picks are going to land. I think picking away Nautilus from Ming is a very good idea, but as you can see, the Kai'Sa priority through the absolute roof here for RNG. I'm actually expecting this to start getting banned away, especially against RNG as the tournament goes on, but not going to happen here today, as it is the Tristana. That's going to be the choice into it. We've seen this many times, but we've also seen it not work.
Yeah, and that leaves open Waze Rumble.
Yeah.
So now you have Gala has Kai'Sa, and we have Rumble, and that's not great. And I'm looking at that Varus ban. I think that Varus is quite a strong AD carry at the moment, but I don't think he's specifically for Gala, right? I think you can argue that Kai'Sa has his place in certain compositions, but for this play in particular, I don't think you can let him have it, right? And especially with how RNG have been playing, they've been playing so decisive, they've been making such great use of the Kai'Sa's abilities to dive the backline now. Literally, already with this cord that they have, it's if you hit a Solar Flare, there comes a Rumble ulti on top of it.
Yeah.
There comes a Kai'Sa diving in, and it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter that you have a black shield. Unless you're able to dodge all the stuns, it's just over. You just immediately get blown up. I do think, though, that the PSG composition does have a lot of early game prio, does have a lot of ways already, at least in the bot lane, to get that Morgana going, and that might be a possible entry for PSG, because if River can get snowballing early, they've been looking really good.
Yes, and River has been sort of leaning on the side of ganking more people more often in that early stage as well, and I want to see more and more of that, because I think PSG just need to play to their strengths, which is getting early game leads and then team fighting for the rest of the game, no matter what's happening elsewhere on the map. And I think that when it works, it looks so damn good. As the Sylas going to be banned away here from Cryan, the Akali taken from Maple. I was wondering whether that was going to actually cop a ban.
Because I think this was already setting up for a Gnar 4th pick here for PSG, right, with the Sylas being banned away, and then it's a blind pick for an Nabi, and then you just know that that Maple's going to go for that R5 Akali just because he can, regardless of whether or not it's a good option. With how strong their skirmishing has been looking, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but of course the Akali doesn't necessarily work in every composition, doesn't work really well with the Morgana either, so in terms of ideal drafting, you know, it's not something you'd rather see. But then you think back to the amount of damage that Maple did, and I'm like, I get that ban. I am not unhappy about that, as the Galio also gets taken away, and this again ties into the style that PSG have been playing. They've also used the Galio before, and it's something that can provide so much pressure and actually be a problem for the skirmishers that RNG might be looking for later in the game.
Yeah, so it's a lot of globals banned away, and potential global there from Sylas as well. For some reason, can't get Twisted Fate out of my mind right now, as the Nocturne ban also one of those things that can stop him. But Lee Sin has got all the way through this draft, so another flex pick going to be locked in here at R4. And the Lee Sin could be going over to Hanabi, but Maple could also decide to pilot if he would like to, as well as LeBlanc being hovered right now for Cryan. But we'll see whether that one's actually locked in, as the Gnar makes a lot more sense. As RNG, it's just another mega RNG-looking composition coming together right now.
So much comfort, and it has everything that RNG wants. It has the capabilities for early game skirmishers. You can still win late game team fights. It's a pressure pick for Xiaohu. Crying in this scenario is going to just play the Victor and just play for the late game, you know? Just hold, play it easy, hold back. And I quite like picks like the Victor into the Lee Sin, makes his life a lot harder later in the game. The Black Shield will alleviate that a little bit though, and I think that's a nice little combo that they have. Same for the Tristana. And you already mentioned it, Atlas. I would actually love this, because I think team fighting against this come from RNG is doomed. Like, don't try to do that. The Zoe kind of has a similar effect in a different direction. I think that the TF would actually allow you to try and pull apart the composition. Now you're trying to just never fight on even footing, right? You hit a binding or a bubble, you blow someone up, and then you fight from there.
Well, let's see whether Maple can actually get that one done. So much pick potential for this composition in the mid game. I think that's where PSG are going to be playing for, as RNG looking pretty capable throughout the entirety of the game. And if their players keep playing just the way they have been, even the lanes are going to go well, right? You can certainly see RNG's road to victory, but there is that wild card in the mid-game. I mean, TF wasn't actually picked in the end, but you know what I'm saying. For PSG to actually take this one, right? And I do like what they've done with a lot of the leaning towards getting as much pick options as possible. It's just whether they can salvage the game, because if a comp like this falls behind too far early, then it's just straight up doomed.
I think that's a really good way to put it, and that's what you need to avoid at all costs. And I think RNG, as I said before, I think they're the best team at the tournament at the moment. But also historically, there's not been a lot of teams that really go without dropping one happy game.
Yeah, right.
Just a single one. This could be that one.
Is day 3 the happy game? Are we going to have the happy game in the first round robin of the Rumble stage? Of course, there are only 2 more games of the first round robin as we do wrap things up. As here we go, RNG versus PSG Talon hitting the Rift for their first game of the day. RNG, can they go 5-0 to set themselves up for the clean sweep? Will mean that they've taken down everyone that's in the Rumble stage, and that's certainly got to feel good. Another thing that we're playing for, which isn't quite as important, is if RNG wins this game, then we are definitely going to get perfectly mirrored scorelines all the way down.
Oh.
5-0 to 0-5. So, you know, if you guys like symmetry, then you'd be going for RNG. But also, if you like North America, you'd be going for RNG, as Trevor so expertly stated for us. If you are a North American League of Legends fan, you are now an RNG fan. That's just how it goes.
It's not a bad place to be in with how they've been playing so far.
Yes, I would say that the smart money is there.
It is the, you know, the safer side for sure. But there are possibilities, and I want to go a little bit more into what I expect PSG to try and play around. Doggo and Kaiwing should be able to reliably get pressure. One of the reasons why Tristana kind of rose up in prominence against the Kaiser is because she can actually win those early fights, and then with Explosive Shot, get an early shove and try and play from there. River also starting on the top side, meaning that he might actually be able to also utilize the priority that his bot lane hopefully will be able to secure for him. But Gala and Ming have been playing so well throughout the entirety of the tournament. So even though I feel matchup-wise there is a slight edge for them, I don't know if that's going to be enough, just because the execution from RNG has been so crisp. And if their execution is too good in multiple lanes, then that really takes away from the possible pressure and kills and like objectives that PSG might otherwise be looking for.
Yeah, also takes away from our sort of conversations of tactics and how to play the map and timings and everything like this, right? If you're just winning too much, then going then to losing becomes very difficult, right? I don't know, that's completely obvious, but it just means that a lot of those conversations about when teams are going to be strong just become completely moot, right? As we are going to see the Zenith Blade not quite connect, as RNG just going to continue shoving on in. Maple trying to do his best to try and get this lane in a favorable position for PSG, but right now Cryan's very happy with its positioning, as Anchor is going to find a pesky minion.
Even if that hit, I don't think you go in because you're not level 2 yet, so actually committing there is not a great idea. So I think Kaiwing is happy with that minion. Now they hit level 2, but this is what we were saying earlier. RNG already find the early game pressure, right? They're already underneath your turret, and River not in a position to really do anything about that yet. The wave is going to bounce away, and RNG from minute 1 take control here. Crying is winning here already, right? He's getting the better trades. Of course, his mana is a little bit lower, but with your health bar this full, you're not going to have to be super scared. They have decent vision in the top side, however, bottom side, not amazing, so maybe there's an opportunity for River to look for something there, but this is the problem. If it does come down to a fight over the scuttle, I don't think they can win.
Fantastic use of the passive there from Kaiwing to interrupt the Zenith Blade as Wei's going to come on forward, but looks like River was able to secure the Rift Scuttle before the Rumble managed to get there. I actually thought that maybe Scuttle control was going to be in the favor of RNG as that crash looked incoming from Cryin in the mid lane, but wasn't quite able to get it there. Maple holding him into the lane, and River is just going to move all the way up, said River, and grab that double scuttle by the looks.
And here in a microcosm, why clear speed is important, right? Because it's just the fact that River was at that scuttle earlier.
Whoa, that's a big old flash forward as Doggo's going to follow as well. Ming doing his very best to stop PSG from moving on forward, and another link necessary in the dredge line as Kaiwing burning down from the Ignite, but will keep himself alive for now.
And double scuttle has been secured. Really nice play there from PSG, because this means any subsequent plays towards Gala and Ming now have a lot higher chance of actually succeeding. Cryin has no mana, so not sure if he can really get anything done here.
Yeah, Maple able to make it out to safety as another dredge line going to connect, this time with Ming. As now Doggo jumping on forward. Is it going to be enough explosive shot as Gala wanting to turn this one around, and First Blood goes to the Kaiser. Yes, he's going to fall down, but damn! That was beautifully done. It is a double kill in the end, so ultimately PSG do take the advantage, but Gala making the best of a bad situation.
And look at who the gold is on. It's on Kaiwing, your Nautilus. Nautilus does not scale very well with gold. If those kills were on Doggo, you'll be really happy with that as PSG, because Tristana snowballs so well, because once she gets a lead, she basically just all-ins you permanently.
Yep.
But now, in the end, Gala is the one who gets the lead. He will lose a couple of creeps here, as the shove was found by PSG, but then the waves will bounce back. They will be able to do with that whatever they like. It was a kill picked up for Gala, getting him his early Dirk. And those two kills on Kaiwing aren't really going to change the situation as they go in here.
Yeah, Maple flashing on over with his picked up flash from his W. That is going to be a great route to land there as Ming looking to try and lock down Maple. Maple doesn't have his flash actually available as River is not even needed when it comes to taking down that kill as explosive charge is going to be there. And now Cryin in trouble underneath his turret, down to 100 health. But thankfully he has an inner turret right there, and therefore it's not going to be enough for PSG to grab that extra kill.
And it sounds like PSG heard me, because I said I want gold on Doggo, and immediately he roams towards the mid lane, which is not something you'd necessarily expect this early on. A really nice move there from PSG, because initially it looks like a bit of an overextension trying to go for those Raptors, as here we see yet again in the new X Effect replay that play from Kaiwing. And the confidence from PSG is really, really nice, but this is one of the reasons why you always need to be afraid of the Kai'Sa from Gala, is because they know these limits so well, right? And then here, I think RNG commits it because they don't expect a Tristana to rocket jump in out of nowhere.
And just gets reset after reset in this replay as well. Explosive charge, able to get that work done onto Ming, as Cryin eventually has to flash as well. So when it comes to summoner spells, it feels like PSG are doing pretty well in that department, as well as Doggo sitting on cleanse and flash still available.
I think if River, he didn't expect, of course, his Tormented Soil, or rather his binding to not be flashed, but flashed into. But I think if he hits a Tormented Soil there, might actually get the kill as we get another skirmish.
Yep, Grab Shield not going to be enough to get the extra movement speed there. As you can see, River just locking way down for as long as he wants, and that's a fantastic cue from Hanabi. He's still looking for more as Ming's going to be taken down for the double. Hanabi survives. They take down Gala and PSG. They're looking to ruin RNG's undefeated streak.
What is this for PSG? The early skirmishing, we said it would be good if they can find the scraps, right? If they can play around the early game power that they have with this composition, but then to do it this well. When Hanabi went into the turret, I was like, he's going to sacrifice himself, but he doesn't even die.
Yeah? Oh man, let's have a look at this replay one more time as River starts it off with the Soul Shackles just to make sure that he guaranteed locks down Wei for as long as possible.
And the confidence here from PSG to go for this play in of itself is just so good to see, because I think a lot of teams are also understandably very intimidated by how good RNG is, right? But PSG, they recognize what their own strength is. It is these early game straps. It's not the late game team fights. It's them making a proactive moves on the map. And now this has netted them with a solid 2k gold lead, the first Drake on the game, gold on Doggo, gold on Hanabi. And that's a great start for this game. It's a necessary one, again. But it's a great one.
This is starting to look like the beginnings of a real snowball, though, for PSG. This is, I feel like in the games that they lose, PSG are always looking to try and get to this position. With a lot of the comps that they put together, they often just don't quite get far enough ahead. This is starting to look like it is almost far enough ahead. However, getting a little bit ahead of myself, as of course PSG still need to take down the enemy nexus. That is still how you win the game.
Let's not forget, RNG are completely fine in these positions. We've seen them there before.
Yeah.
And they have been able to wiggle them out of them extremely successfully. As we're mentioning this, Wei is currently getting a Rift Herald, and the 2k gold lead is nice, but if you then immediately give up a couple of turrets, maybe in the top lane where there have been a lot of plays sacrificed, you might be in trouble, and I think they're just going to get this without... There's no prio in mid or top lane, so that's just a free Herald. There's only 3 plates on top. If you get a dive on Hanabi, you get the first turret block, then that gold lead is just kind of gone.
Yeah, it looks like Hanabi should be able to push out this wave relatively effectively, and it looks like Wei is just going to go back home, utilize that empowered recall that Shelly does afford him. And PSG, they're happy to sack the top side of the map because they want to make sure that Doggo is as comfy as possible on this Tristana, wanting to eat through as many of the plates as he can. And he's only got a couple more to pick up from that bottom side before they move the Tristana around and try and continue this avalanche down the hill.
The avalanche down the hill? Do
yeah,
avalanche ever go up?
I feel like I've
hills?
been saying snowball too much, so I went for something else.
But I've never seen an avalanche go up a hill. That seems very counterintuitive.
Are you saying that I may not have necessarily needed to say which way the avalanche was going? Because remember, I'm an Australian. We don't really know very much about snow-based anything.
Okay,
so
no,
it's not my fault.
No, it's my bad. I should give you some leeway there.
Are you saying that they're 100% affected by gravity? Is that what you're saying?
Personally, I'd say so, yes.
Have you seen every avalanche?
I have not. No, I'm not an expert on avalanches.
Okay.
Who hopefully are experts on, if you want it, avalanches as opposed to snowballing has been PSG. As they're going to crying.
That's a big old flash. Depth charge going to come through as well. And this is the layering of CC that PSG have available to them. This is why we said their mid-game was so terrifying. Well, look, RNG, it has come a little bit earlier this time around as that was fed. There was nothing that Cryin could do. He still has flash. It was unnecessary.
And it's been Ming that, I think, justifiably so, has been getting an incredible amount of praise throughout this tournament for his roams, right? Like, he is one of the most threatening supports in at the game in the moment, at just randomly turning up somewhere and finding kills, finding damage, and saving his the rest of his team. But in this game, he's mostly been locked in ever since that early skirmish went the way of PSG. However, they do get this first turret blood, as I was pointing out a little bit earlier. The setup for this was already there, and that does mean that the gold lead, yet again, has shrunk a little bit. That's not the end of the world for PSG, but it does mean that these Drakes are non-optional, right? Like, if you get into the late game on this RNG comp, you're still completely fine. You're still in a comfortable position. You can win any team fight that you put your mind to, especially with how well we've seen them fight, rather. So this next fight, and I think this fight for Soul Point, are going to be pivotal for PSG if they want to keep this avalanche going.
And I feel like we talk about this a lot, but like the onus on which team to make the moves around the map, right? And PSG, it's on them. They have to be the one to make the moves.
They have to do stuff.
And oftentimes I feel nervous about that. But PSG are a team that are always trying to make a play. As you can see, River doesn't even want me to make my point because he's looking for another binding. He'll find it beautifully as the Drowsy will come through as well. No more Aftershock, but Gala does need to be respected as teleport. Gonna come through from RNG. Another Dark Binding's there as Kaiwing curses the newly approaching minion wave that blocked his anchor, and another teleport now from RNG. They're really starting to feel like they can't let these picks go through.
And the crucial thing is that 2 members are chunked. Even if PSG don't find any kills, and I hope they don't go too greedy, because they can just pick up a Drake here. They can get the turret, they can get the Drake, and snowball their objective lead from there.
Well, that's a lot of R buttons, and that is going to defend the turret for the moment. But PSG, like you mentioned, able to just to back away if they want to. In 1 second's time, pick up this Mountain Drake. But this is PSG. There are more enemy champions on the map, Chronicler, and therefore we need to make sure that we take down this turret first, make sure there are no more champions to be seen, and then potentially this Drake will be picked up. But PSG have so much control of this bottom side that there's no way that RNG have any hope of contesting this.
And from here on out, as RNG, you're just biding your time, right? Giving up the turret, that's fine. Just make sure you don't give up any kills, and we saw there as well the moment that it was clear that River was there, they're like, okay, we need to back off. They can't afford to give away a lot more kills, as now there's a lack of vision here for PSG.
Yeah, the back is now channeling. There they come. Kaiwing's going to be taken down. The Dragon's going to fall at the same time, but RNG will take that one little pick. and get themselves out of there, as it's going to be an Infernal Soul as well. And if you're a PSG fan, that definitely feels good, because they were already relying on Drakes, and now they have the most dangerous one available if they can keep control of this game.
And that pick from RNG in of itself might not look like that much, but these are exactly the kind of moments that you're looking for as RNG, right? Kyle Wing, there's a complete lack of vision on the top side. You know that you have full control of your bot side, so you can expect the opponent to be there. Backs like that and little picks can take so much tempo out of the PSG game plan, because now you need to wait for Kyle Wing. Kyle Wing is one of the main members that you want with you, as Maple going for the 1v1.
Yep, teleport here to back him up as well as Hanabi makes his way in. This should complete, and Kryan has absolutely nowhere he can go. Ming's also going to be taken down as Gala's trying to be the hero, but meanwhile we've got fights absolutely everywhere. Wade's going to turn up, that Electro Harpoon ain't going to change this story. 1 iota, it's a double kill for River. Have a look at the gold. This snowball is ridiculous from PSG. And they're just keeping it on moving.
And RNG getting continuously caught in side lanes is now starting to become more and more worrisome, because I feel like we are slowly getting to that gold and objective lead where PSG are actually able to teamfight on even footing, even though their composition doesn't lend itself as well. River is setting on a 10-stack Dark Seal, might turn it into a Magi's later on, has been having an incredible game. You have a fed Zoe, which in of itself is a huge menace, and while Doggo has not been able to pick up a lot more kills, he's still able to shred through turrets in a matter of seconds, right? So PSG's overall map pressure between Zoe Bubbles and Lee Kicks and Kyle Wing turning up and Doggo churning down turrets is so threatening.
Yep, more CC to come through. Gala caught out on the backline as well, as Hanabi will say goodbye to him. River picks up that kill, as now Maple to make sure that RNG can't get any help in here whatsoever. Outer turret in mid lane will be taken down. Rift Herald should surely follow immediately afterwards. PSG not showing any signs of slowing, as Kryan might also be in a bit of danger here as well, as River decides not to pop on over there with the blast cone.
Might be waiting here, Crying. You were already caught in this exact position. There's two people coming for him from that river.
Oh, this is so dangerous. He is going to start the back, and there is no vision available here of the Victor. He cancels it, actually. That's he's very brave. However, it is going to be Shirley that will be taken instead, and the Victor will survive for now. Still chilling up there towards the top side as we have a look at this replay once again.
Yet again, it's just, PSG make it look so easy. You see the level of safety that a Morgana provides, even though the attack damage still comes through and Gala finds the return kill. Just the fact that as Tristana you can jump in and not have to worry about CC at all is amazing. That's a 2-for-1 trade that you'll take right there, because it leads into more turrets. And the real kicker is that simultaneously, as PSG, you force a 2v1 on the bot side of the map. How do you then simultaneously also win a skirmish in the mid lane?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. Maple, once again, a joy to watch. We saw Zakali finally find all of the value just recently, and now on the Zoe looking fantastic once again. I don't know what it is with Maple, but he just charges up. You get him into an international competition, he just plays better. He's already really good, yeah. But he just seems to be even better when you add pressure to this man. So fantastic to see that even after all these years, it's still the same.
And this is such a pivotal match, because for RNG, honestly, even I don't know if they will drop this game. Again, I've costed too many Damwon Kia games to think that a match is over before it's actually over. And RNG, as I said before, are as good, if not better at the moment, at turning lost games, or seemingly lost games, into wins, right? But the moment that PSG wins this game, it puts them in such a better position, because it's not very likely that any of the other teams are going to be able to snag a win against RNG, right? And if they don't get those and PSG does, then all of a sudden that claim that PSG has to the 4th spot that we're talking about before might become a 3rd spot.
Yep, there's going to be a lot of things that people will need to change as well, because theoretically it'll be either Mad or Damwon Kia, if PSG win this game, that will tie with RNG for first place as the first round robin does conclude. And that makes things a whole lot more interesting, as PSG still need to win this game, right? We're having conversations like, what if? But like you say,
it's
RNG,
definitely not done.
RNG is still a team and they still have exactly the comp that they want, and exactly the comp that they have shown they can fight on in late games, and being able to shore up some whoopsies in early game play. PSG is going to absolutely need to keep their foot on the accelerator if this one is still going to be a success. But at 18 minutes, still around the mid-game, and these picks that PSG can put together are still going to be very valuable as Shirley pops down the river and will start causing a bit of a distraction in mid.
Yeah, they can try and go for a steal, go for the Hail Mary, but it's never going to actually come to fruition. And this is one of the situations where this is perfect time Rift there, by the way. It didn't even generate pressure, but fine, they can still get her towards the turret.
Yep.
Where an Infernal Drake is actually so good. Because Infernal Drake means both Xiaohu and Wei have so much less space to play around, right? Of course, Maple might be a little bit sad about that, but less Narbars are great as the hook comes in!
Another dredge line lands. It's a big knob, but is it actually going to be enough is the question. The shutdown comes through onto River, but they are now without their Kaiser, and you can see PSG, they will back away. They got the extra charge, but it's a 1-for-1 in the end.
And not much more can come with it. Kaiwing has been insane on this Nautilus thus far. They sacrifice River, but with no objective on the map. Sacrificing your jungler, not actually that big of a problem. Of course, the shutdown is a bit unfortunate. And this is going to be, for me, the real turning point of this match. Because this is what PSG, the quote-unquote easy objectives on the map, are gone, right? You've got most outers, you've got most inners. Yeah, Kaiwing is just having a really good game. I don't know what to tell you, just the immediate layering of damage following through. There's not actually anything that you can really get out of this as PSG, so is it really worth it is a question you can ask yourself. But I think just for keeping RNG on the back foot and keeping that feeling of fear that they have definitely shown thus far and have definitely been able to instill in them, I'd personally say that I like those plays because it really keeps them on their feet. And now the gold lead, it hasn't really ballooned yet. And that's why this game is so tense and so exciting, is because, yes, it's a big lead, it's a very relevant lead, but it's not the game should basically be over kind of lead.
No, it's not. And PSG still have a lot of quests they need to complete as well. One of them being taking down this Infernal Drake in 3 minutes' time. Infernal Soul is going to be huge, but also forcing RNG to fight them around things like Elder or Baron is going to be very, very strong too for this squad. And that will take away from, like you were saying, they've run out of easy objectives. Well, it's pretty easy to park yourself in the river and choose a buff to fight over. And that's what PSG will be able to do in the future if that Drake is actually taken. Now, just consolidating vision around this river. I can count 1,100 wards for PSG. Yes, I think they know topside river and what's going on. As Kaiwing, once again, hunting Ming in the darkness for now. As we see PSG closing in on this top side, just continually trying to make things darker and darker for RNG. Another control ward spotted out and will be cleared. Cheeky little ward up there in the brush is going to be frustrating for PSG, but as we can see, it looks like the Baron has been started. Blue Trinket will spot that one out. It's PSG now looking to try and pull away. Bubble not going to connect. Maple will need to find more of these if they want to be able to make anything happen. Xiaohu maybe in a little bit of trouble here as PSG do rotate towards the mid lane. It is so tense here as there's the flash over. Kaiwing not able to find it, but the bubble connects and Cryan will be evaporated eventually. Actually, okay, it takes a little while, but they do manage to get him in the end. Kaiwing goes golden with his stopwatch as now another sleepy member of RNG, but Wei is going to survive for the moment. River also going to go golden as the Soul Shackles do go off, as in goes Gala, looking for one in the back line. Can he actually do it? That's 2 kills already, but now it's Tristana's turn. Maple diving on towards the Kaiser, and there's no way Gala is going to do that 1v3, as PSG now look for the Baron.
Are PSG really going to do it? Are they going to defeat the yet undefeated RNG in this game? It's starting to feel more and more likely because yet again, I loved what the observers did there. They showed how little vision RNG had, how little control they had. And PSG, they play so respectful, right? They immediately back off the moment that these scary teamfight ultimates come closer as Wei gets blown up. That's going to be Baron, and that's going to make the quest, as you pointed out earlier, of breaking open those inhibitors a lot easier.
And that wasn't the Baron isn't the sub-quest to the taking down the Infernal
That's a really
Soul.
big story quest right there.
Absolutely, and that's they're skipping ahead of the story a couple of steps here, but you can apparently do it in different orders, as we are going to have a look at this replay one more time. I thought Cryan was just going to explode, stayed alive for a little bit longer, but ultimately in the end it was not enough.
And here you see the restraint from PSG, because they know they can't go into this space, right? And then the moment moment that Wei is asleep, they feel confident because funneling into the choke point onto an equalizer is certain death. RNG, however, recognize that they need to go for this with Hanabi forcing them into an actual fight. But they're playing from a deficit, right? They can't just try and hard force this. They need a good situation. And Maple, not afraid, literally just flashes over the wall. And that Red Bull Baron power play, that's great, but the real objective is coming up right here.
Yeah, and RNG are actually in position around this one as PSG looking to try and use their wallets and the extra heft that they have available to them to try and take them down. It's a 7,000 gold lead. Let's see whether RNG can find themselves a miracle. Once again, Death Charge to come down. Equalizer gonna find the backline for a fair bit of damage, but Ming's already dead. In goes Hanabi. The Steric's actually doing a heck of a lot of work as Doggo will secure the Drake. That's Infernal Soul. The Rumble's now dead, and Maple is on a mission. Cryan going to be his first target as Gala trying to frontline, but there's nothing he can do. The Goomba Stomp will come forward from Doggo as Xiaohu watches the pieces of his team fall apart and slinks back towards his fountain.
That's Infernal Soul, that's Baron, and that might very well be the final straw that broke the camel's back for RNG, right? Like, there's so much in the way, or standing in the way of them now to get back into this game. The inhibitors are going to fall. I don't think they can quite end on this push, but for RNG, it's going to be such a hard-fought defense. And we might be looking at the first loss of what looked like the tournament favorite at the moment.
Yep, and it's only 25 minutes into this game as well. It has not been close. We've had to sort of temper how we explain this game, right? With how PSG have sometimes fallen behind after getting early leads, and RNG have been very, very good at closing out games. But, oh man, PSG are looking absolutely unstoppable right now. It is approaching a 10,000 gold lead. They've completed all of their quests. And this fight was just beautiful. Just front to back, just play it out calmly and collectedly here for PSG.
And you still see the team fighting class, right? Because Hanabi goes for a big kick, but immediately also provides Gala with an opportunity to jump back. So Gala doesn't actually die, but he just buys time, he just buys attention. And in an even situation, an ult like that from Xiaohu might turn the fight around. However, because of how well PSG have been playing up to this point, because of all the leads they've generated, they culminate in this beautiful team fight that gets them so much and might finally put them in a position to make it work. And I'm really happy that we talked about happy games. This is not a happy game from RNG. This is just PSG playing so well.
And this is also RNG finally getting challenged at what they've been doing all tournament long, and no one's figured out how to stop it, right? It's pick exactly these champions, basically, and out-team fight you and just play a better, more consistent macro game around the map and take you down. PSG have said, all right, well, we've identified what you want to do. We've understood that you're, you know, very good at running this very balanced composition that still wants to team fight. Well, we're just going to do it a little bit better than you in the earlier stages of the game, and they absolutely have done so. Really beautiful stuff so far here for PSG, as I can feel the blood pressure of North Americans going up as PSG get closer and closer to a win, because this is definitely bad news for Cloud9. Doesn't, of course, eliminate them or anything like that.
Got to be careful with that one before Damonkia goes 0-2 and we're the ones getting worried, because that's still a possibility. Because
that is very true. This
blows this group wide open, right?
Yeah.
And this is such a big win, not only for PSG, but for the entire course of the tournament.
And it means that whoever loses out of Damwon and Mad will be tied with PSG if PSG win this one.
It's madness.
It is. It's absolutely beautiful. This is exactly what we wanted. 11,000 close to the gold lead for PSG as they look to try and crash into the base. Only one more inhibitor is standing in their way as RNG. They still have a team fight or two in them. Maybe not two. They at least have one, as they are now just doing their very best to play cleanup duty around their base that is absolutely in shambles. 2.5 minutes until the Elder Drake comes through, as well as PSG not looking like they have any inclination to stop this siege, and they absolutely don't need to. Another dredge line going to connect there from Kaiwing as the turret is going to fall down. Hanabi just explodes Gala in the back line. This guy's Lee Sin has been so damn good as Kaiwing, of course, lands another dredge line. I'm pretty sure it's targeted when he's playing it, especially in this game, as once again it's a snooze to be had for Cryan on the fountain. Everyone diving on in to try and kill Xiaohu, who is going to be able to get some back, but PSG are going to do it. They defeat the undefeatable, and RNG will draw blood for the first time at MSI 2021.
What a beautiful performance from PSG, because you can not make the argument when you see this game that it was RNG fumbling, right? That it was RNG making big mistakes. From minute one, they were looking for opportunities. They were skirmishing, they were diving, and that they are the first one to make RNG lose. That's just beautiful.
Yeah, just incredible stuff from this team. And look, RNG didn't look like they were going to go through the entire tournament undefeated, right? And it's very, very difficult. Not a lot of teams have managed to do that throughout an MSI in the past. I think it was almost Longzhu that got closest, but they weren't even able to close out the whole thing in the end. These group stages and the Rumble stages are normally a time for experimentation. This is the first time that RNG have been challenged in the playstyle that they have defaulted to in almost every single game. And PSG showing that there is a way to take it down is fantastic for the tournament, because now other teams are watching. Other teams now know that this is how you're supposed to challenge this team, and RNG are going to have to dig into their back pockets to find different ways to win.
And other teams are also going to be terrified of PSG, because if you look at the level of play that they showed here, it shows that the problem that we had with them earlier on in the tournament was some of the inconsistencies, Carwing being a little bit over-aggressive, getting early game leads, but then losing them, over-aggression. But in this scenario, it was just well-crafted, well-executed, and a very well-deserved win for PSG.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And now we're going to have a look